Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Cape Time. It has been a while, but we are here to review Loki and Black Widow in this episode. And right after we finish this episode, we're going to record another recapping all of the news that's happened since our last episode. So a lot of content coming today.
Double F week. I
Yeah,
love
double
that.
episode week. I'm a fan, but yeah, this episode's going to take a while in itself. We have a lot to discuss and from Loki as a whole and also Black Widow. I have a lot of thoughts on both. Before we even get into that, Tom, how are you doing?
I'm well. My appendix might burst at any moment, but other than that, it hasn't been a good few days, but physically. But other than that, I'm good. We've been eating. We've been eating. We've gotten a lot of good content recently from mainly from Marvel, but even from DC as well. They're feeding us as well, especially with some recent announcements. And obviously, Suicide Squad's getting great reactions. James Gunn is awesome. So, he's an awesome director. Everything's pretty good besides my impending doom.
All right. Well, moving on from your impending doom, Loki was an absolute blast, man.
Banger.
We talked about this a lot. I watched it with my friends, and oh my god, we all agree this is definitely the best Disney Plus show, and this is one of the best Marvel projects in general, man. I mean, as far as the MCU goes,
it's in my top 10.
I think it is in my top 10. I tried making a list of.
I think I have it at 9.
I forgot where I put it, but I think it's definitely in my top 10. I think, but it's up there, man. I mean, there's just so many great things about this show from beginning to end, and they really nailed the last 2 episodes. I mean, they embraced the absolute insanity of alternate timelines in the 5th episode, which we were very excited about last time we talked and recorded. They really went all out on that. Old Man Loki, played by Richard E. Grant, absolutely amazing.
What a great episode.
Yeah, Kid Loki was awesome to see, and just the whole dynamic between those characters, and also getting to see more of Sylvie and Loki together, Mobius. I mean, the emotions were just so high in that episode, man, and I'm so thrilled with what we got in episode 5, and obviously episode 6 we'll get into next, but I'm very happy. How do you feel about episode 5?
Episode 5 was tremendous. I just love that episode. I mean, Loki was honestly, it honestly stuck the landing as well as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, it did. We had, high hopes. We were hoping certain things would come true, and certain things did come true. And they announced, season 2 after the finale. But since we're talking first about episode 5, we'll get into it. Episode 5, I go back and forth. I think these last 2 episodes were my 2 favorites since episode 1. Mm-hmm. I really, really enjoyed this one a lot. I think, with all these variants of Loki running around in this like kind of desolate wasteland, it was just so much fun to see, these different versions, and Mobius, if Mobius finding his way back to Loki, I guess you can say. And Mobius, because remember, Renslayer zapped, I forgot the phrase, zapped Mobius, pruned Mobius, and and Loki also got pruned, and they had to find their way back. And then episode 5 picks up, and it's Sylvie holding Renslayer hostage, and then Sylvie self-prunes herself to go find Loki, and the entire premise of the episode really, it's just a really cool kind of escape desolate wasteland, premise. I think they executed it well. It looked beautiful. Like it looked really cool. Like,
oh yeah,
like that looks cool.
And there were so many Easter eggs in that whole episode, dude, for fans. I mean, it was they did a good job with that. That was very fun with the
Thanos' hell. Yep.
Yeah, Yeah, Throg. I mean, they gave you a little bit of everything in that episode. There was Yellow Jackets. Part of his suit was there. I mean, everything was there.
Now, I do have something to say.
Yeah.
I do have. There was like a fallen Avengers tower that was reworked to be Richards' company, not Nathaniel Richards' company, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean that the Avengers Tower is going to be the Baxter Building?
I mean, I wouldn't say that means for sure. And the thing is, I don't think it's quite the Baxter Building to begin with, though. It's a different one. So I guess it could be. Like, they did actually apparently, or at least some people theorize, they did tease the Fantastic Four in episode 6, which I didn't even notice, but that's just a theory.
How did they do that?
We're not there yet, Tom.
We got to get back into that because I love me some Fantastic Four content.
Oh, we'll get there.
We need a Fantastic Four video game. I'm gonna die on that hill.
Yeah, but I also need like a Daredevil video game now.
Like literally, they can make like 15 different games, and I would buy all of them. But yeah, so like you said, episode 5 was an Easter egg gold.
Yeah, Easter egg galore, man.
And then Chris Hemsworth voiced Throg.
But we never got to see it, which is so upsetting.
Yeah, that's funny. And Throg made a little appearance, and it really was just gold mine. And like, as we find out that like they are in Eliath. Eliath is this like dragon that like this kind of like I don't know how to quite describe it, but it's like it'll wipe your ass out. Let's just say that. And they had to find a way to get past Eliath and find who is responsible for time. I guess you can say he who remains. The man who survived the end of time and who's overlooking the timeline, the sacred timeline, we should say. But we can't get into that until we get into episode 6, because we don't find out who this person is until episode 6. But yeah, so let's just get into episode 5. I mean, Loki finds a bunch of variants of himself. They go hide out. And we see President Loki, and I thought President Loki.
Yeah, I thought that was our Loki.
Was going to be our Loki, but it turns out 2 different Lokis. And these Lokis just keep stabbing each other in the back.
Which is hilarious.
And it's just like, that's just completely in character. And we find out, the backstories of these individual Lokis, and, Kid Loki killed Thor. What was Richard E. Grant's Loki's? Yeah, I remember. It was like his crime was that he ended up missing Thor at the by the end, and it's like Richard E. Grant's basically playing a similar version.
Loki, just older, basically.
Yeah, basically, like he experienced similar things, pretty much exactly the same things as
through Infinity.
Yeah. So. It's just very interesting to see that he ended up, like, the thing that the TVA got him for was he ended up.
That's the thing. Like, these Lokis that's the only thing. Are they alternate timeline only? Because these aren't multiverse Lokis at all. These are just.
I think like.
There's a difference.
I think there are different timelines that experience similar events.
Yeah, like
necessarily the same. As
like
the sacred MCU
Sylvie, like they're Lokis obviously, but they're not from the multiverse seemingly. They're just from different timelines or things played out different. Versus an alternate version entirely from a different universe. Those are different things.
Still ways to go to explain the exact logistics of this, but I
will say they did actually. Kate Harrington cleared it up. No, they actually were airtight with it. Like usually there's a lot of plot holes when they do multiverse in any project. There's really none in this one. It's more of just like me figuring out, okay, where is this person from? Because they never specifically said, so I kind of have to guess. But that's not even indicative of them. That's just, I don't know for sure yet. That's something that hasn't been explained quite yet. But as for the multiverse itself, they did a great job explaining it, or especially Kate Harrington in her interviews. I mean, she basically explained it through the branch kind of thing, which we'll get into in episode 6 because they kind of actually show the branches.
Yeah, this multiverse is about to get mad.
Oh yeah.
I
So
just watched Doctor Strange the other day.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, great movie. Great movie.
So in episode 5, like you said, they're kind of just the Lokis all betray each other. They find their way out, and that's when they finally meet up with Sylvie and Mobius, and that is such a great reuniting moment, man. I mean, I was so happy.
Great hug.
It just showed me how much I cared about these characters. Like, the dynamic between Mobius, especially, and Loki is so perfect, man. I love them so much. They're so
Owen
cool.
Wilson is so good in this show. And like, I watched this video by you ever watch Captain Midnight's videos?
I don't. Are they good?
Yeah, they're very good. Subscribe to Captain Midnight. He said basically like the role of Mobius, in most shows would be a pretty thankless role, but like Owen Wilson and the character are given, a lot to do and a lot of depth, and it's just really cool to see that Owen Wilson in the show. I don't feel like he's playing, Owen Wilson in a way. I feel like there are some Owen Wilson isms in Mobius, but I think like this, like he does a good job like with the dramatic moments. He really did. He really isn't playing like, Zoolander Owen Wilson or anything like that. He gave a really good performance, and he was definitely perfect for this. And Hiddleston and Mobius have great chemistry.
No, they really did a great job with that character. Owen Wilson played it great, and I can't imagine anyone else in that role, man. I'm really excited to see more Mobius moving forward. And moving on though, as the episode progresses, they decide what their plan is, and that's to control Alioth using Sylvie's powers, and they go for it, man, and it's a wild ride. I mean, oh my God, Alioth looks so awesome, and we get our big moment with classic Loki, and holy shit, he is a badass. And you know what? During the episode, even before that, they were teasing like little things, like he'd use powers that we've never seen our Loki use at all, and it's because the dude's really mastered all these different abilities that Loki has yet to really learn or understand. So it's crazy to think how powerful Loki can become because, man, he created Asgard. He created Asgard.
Yeah, that actually is something else, man. Like that scene where he basically spoiler alert, he sacrifices himself.
He'll be back.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be really cool.
With the multiverse, anyone can be back. So
yeah, so like that's just a great moment, man, where he creates that diversion for Hiddleston's Loki, and they defeat Elias, and the show ends with this episode ends with Sylvie and Loki walking into the I guess you could say portal. I guess you could say wherever you know what I'm saying, to find he who remains. That's what I should say. They walked right in, and then episode 6 obviously picks up. Do we get into episode 6 now? Episode 6 picks up basically right where we left off, and that beginning, man, that opening with all the quotes and like kind of an echoey kind of way, all the classic MCU quotes throughout the years, and you see the timeline, the sacred timeline, and it's like, oh man, what's going on here? And that was just that's a hell of a way to open an episode. I mean, and I think we also heard the song that played at the end of Endgame when Peggy and Steve Rogers are dancing. And that they did that, to get those emotional feels, and then it opens and it feels almost cold in a way, like it feels like it feels like an ominous kind of way, and it had horror vibes at the beginning. To be honest, like it was like creepy because you're at the end of time, and like you just hear like 10 years worth of classic quotes, and it's like and then you see the timeline, and they enter this kind of mansion kind of thing, And then fucking Miss Minutes.
God.
Out of nowhere, collectively scares about, I don't know how many people watch Loki. I would assume millions. Scared millions of people. When Miss Minutes popped up, I let out a sound at 3:00 in the morning that I'd prefer not to repeat. But yeah, and He Who Remains offers Loki a deal, and Loki and Sylvie a deal to, like, we'll put you back in the timeline and you get to live out your dream lives, basically. And they're like, nah, we make our own destiny. And then Miss Minutes has, like, kind of a chilling line where she goes, good luck with that, and then disappears. And then, Miss Minutes appears right before Renslayer, and, like, it's like, oh, okay. So, like, Miss Minutes is playing both sides. Miss Minutes was created by He Who Remains to help out the TVA, basically, and we find that out. But going back to Loki and Sylvie, they go into this room, and there are statues, and one statue is knocked down. And then here it is, Luke. Here it is. The elevator comes down, comes up, comes down. Don't know. I don't know. But, the door opens. Kang. Well, sort of. Kang, well, sort of.
The thing is, the thing I really liked is how they revealed after. Initially, he wasn't even going to play Kang. He really was just He Who Remains at first, but they made the change during casting when they were casting for Ant-Man. They said, "Hey, this guy is actually perfect for Kang. Let's make He Who Remains a Kang variant." And then they just went that route, which is crazy.
Which is the best route, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's gonna absolutely kill it. I mean, and the persona of this He Who Remains Immortus mix is so cool, and
yeah,
you can see it how he's basically just horrifying the whole time in the nicest of ways. Like, he's just so in control of the whole situation. He knows everything, and he's not even remotely scared. Like, if
I was
anything,
in
the only thing
with that guy. Oh my god!
I think the only thing he was scared of was himself, basically. Quite literally. He's the least scared of his variants, and that's it.
Yeah,
and
really.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. That's exactly why there hasn't been a multiverse, because all the other Kangs are within these other universes, and that's why he's blocking off our branch of the MCU from these alternate branches. And that's how the multiverse is born. The branches connect, which is so perfect and makes perfect sense. And I am pissed for not figuring that out earlier, because that adds up entirely.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're gonna do Secret Wars.
And honestly, people have said this, and it's crazy to think about, but it's honestly probably not too far away.
No.
Like, when I say too far away, I mean like 2025, 2026. Like, I really think that's not crazy, which
is not too far away.
Weird to say, because I hope they don't rush it, but at the same time, Marvel is doing 9 to 10 projects yearly right now. So they can fit in a lot of storylines and do a lot of character development at quite a fast rate in comparison to 10 years ago when the MCU started. So
I wonder if Chris Evans coming back, because remember, Chris Evans was reported to be coming back. I wonder if that's one of the projects.
We haven't heard anything on that since, but I think that he's going to be back for, my gut says Doctor Strange. My gut says he'll be back in maybe Secret Invasion as, Skrull. And also, I think that's also a possibility too. I think Secret Wars is definitely possible. I mean, when we get to Secret Wars, I think everyone's going to be back.
Can you imagine if he pops out as Cap and he's like, Avengers is... Oh my god, don't even...
Dude, in Secret Wars, I'm telling you, I think everyone will be back. I think we'll get Robert Downey Jr. back. I think every single person will be back for that event. Because there's no reason for them not to be. I have friends who are always telling me, oh, they had such perfect endings. Why would you ruin that? And it's like, dude, have you ever read comics? The multiverse is meant to be wild and bring dead characters back. Obviously, you shouldn't overdo it and constantly bring them back for different events, because that kind of ruins the impact. But if you wait till Secret Wars to really bring, let's say, Robert Downey Jr. back, the emotional payoff is still there, man. I mean, it's going to feel great either way. If anything, it'll be awesome, feel better bringing them back for just that one event, because it's like, imagine getting to see him interact with some of these new heroes, like, or seeing him interact with Reed Richards. Like, that's what you want to see, man. That's exactly what you want to see as a consumer and a fan.
I can you imagine Evans as Cap and Sam Wilson and Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson fighting side by side? They're both Cap now.
Honestly, I really think we're gonna get a scroll version of that in Secret Invasion where those two fight.
Be awesome. Like, give me all the Captain America content. And yeah, I mean, and like you said, we're gonna have a Fantastic Four team ready. I think, I really hope that they can get, the X-Men set up in time for that as well.
That's my big thing, because I want the mutants and the X-Men to be set up properly by then. I don't want them to just like, oh, here's the movie of the mutants, and then the next year they do Secret Wars, because I want time to develop those characters more. I don't want to just go right into it, ideally. But the thing is also, I don't think that movie, codenamed right now The Mutants, is going to be the first appearance of MCU mutants for sure. I think they're going to be scattered across projects, and then that's going to be a movie where they start coming together. And I think that's the way they'll do it. And we already know we're going to get mutants in Doctor Strange 2, almost definitely. And I mean, I can even go into specifics, but I won't, because I'll get in a lot of trouble. So I won't.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming, and obviously they announced Fantastic Four is coming. That's already an announced officially thing, so that's awesome.
You know what I'm honestly really excited about?
Yeah, what?
I need the next Disney investors meeting this year, because I think they're going to reveal a lot of shit again.
Yeah,
like a lot. They're done with Comic-Con, I think, at this point, because they know the investors meeting was such a big hit. I
actually heard they're going to come back to it next year.
I think they will, but I also think that this investors meeting thing is working for them, though. Like, it really is.
It really did work.
Like, it was the best event they've ever done, I think.
D23 works a lot as well.
Yeah. They got to reveal so much. They got to reveal so much, and they had a whole event dedicated to just their content. And, just the way it was set up, man, I think they're going to end up they're going to reveal their entire 2023 slate in more detail, and I think they're going to reveal a lot of the 2024 slate too, which is awesome, man. I am so pumped to get more info. We'll probably
where's that Inhumans movie they announced?
Oh, yeah. I think I've heard Feige wants no part of the Inhumans at this point. I'm honestly skeptical about even...
He was never...
I don't know.
Reportedly, he was never like a huge kind of fan of the Inhumans.
I'm not even totally sure Kamala Khan is going to be an Inhuman, honestly, which is crazy to say, but I'm not sure.
I would do Inhumans. I would too. I would just do it right. Just do it right. And like Inhumans, the show, not canon. But I think what Feige will do is he'll probably just like wait. He'll probably like wait a few years, just because that Inhumans show. Well, the 12 people that watched it really did not respond well to it, to say the least. And we are not going to talk about that, because holy shit, that's bad.
But get back on track to episode 6. But episode 6 of Loki was really great. The performance from Jonathan Majors was absolutely iconic, and like we said, he was so good. He was so in control of everything, and this is what you want. Because at first I remember my friend was like, oh, wait, this is Kang? But then he realized, oh, wait, no, this is a variant. This ain't Kang. And under that context, it makes the performance so much better, because this is like a very, I'm not going to say a nice Kang, but this is a Kang that is not just pure evil like the ones we're going to be seeing in the pretty near future. I mean, 2023, beginning of 2023 ain't that far off, man. And that's going to be our first true Kang appearance, and that's just a little over, about a year and a half away, which ain't too far.
Mm-mm.
And at the end, we find out that they crossed the threshold of the timeline where things are changing at that point, and he doesn't know what's going to happen. And he says, you can kill me, but if you do it, it's going to be absolute madness, and my variants are going to be set free, or you take over the TVA and continue doing my job for me, essentially. And, it was just so, again, I just love how he has no fear. When Sylvie goes to kill him, he's just laughing like, oh man, this is exciting. What's going to happen? Oh, this is cool. Like, it's like he's watching a television show.
It's like a guy who, like, he's been alone
Yeah, he's been
forever.
alone for
So he's just trying to
millions of
feel
years.
something.
Yeah.
Like, he's not, he doesn't know what feeling is like anymore.
Yeah, it's so excellently done, man. You can tell he's just so excited to not know what's happening for once. He's like, whoa, like, I have no idea what this outcome is going to be. Like, last million years, I could have told you everything. Right now, I'm in the dark. And in the end, Sylvie and Loki have this brilliant fight. I thought it was so well done. And then you get the kiss between them, which was really awesome. But of course, as a Loki does, Sylvie betrays him and sends him back to the TVA, which definitely saw coming. But I want to make this clear, though, because my friend asked me this, do you think that the kiss was just her deceiving him? And no, I don't think it was. I do think that kiss was genuine, but I also think that in the end, she cared about her motives more. Yeah, she had to do what she had to do. Her motives meant more than the kiss. So that's kind of where my head was at with that. And dude, when she kills him and he smiles at her and says, "See you soon," that delivery is so fucking good. Oh,
yep.
It
Jonathan
was
Majors.
brilliant, dude. I mean, it's
Just
great.
so good. It's like there were some truly, like, disturbing lines in this episode, like, where it's like, oh,
I know.
like, kind of ominous. Like, the whole vibe of the entire episode is like,
Well,
oh,
just so
shit.
unsettling that this is a guy that literally has control of everything.
Ugh.
Like, every single possible detail. Anytime they're about to hit him or try to kill him, he teleports
right away.
Yeah, he knows in advance that they were going to do that. And that's so creepy.
It's all, like, written too.
It's all written. I mean, to think that the entire MCU that we've seen to that point, he controlled every part of it, which is so weird. That is so weird. So, like, anytime I watch an MCU movie now and I see, like, oh, Peter Quill did this with the Thanos and ruined everything. Fuck you, Kang. Fuck you. Like, I start saying that now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's really cool that, we find out, he who remains is Kang, man. Well, is a Kang variant. It's just, we were hoping for it. We were kind of hoping. We're like, can it not be a Loki variant? Can we get Kang?
Thank God it wasn't. That would have been so redundant.
Because we've been burned a few times.
And not even just that. It's just I wouldn't have liked that even without the expectation.
I think it just works better this way.
Yeah, honestly. Like, we've been doing Loki the entire show. Like, it's a little redundant. Like, here's a Loki variant. Oh, here's 3 more. Oh, here's President Loki. And then here's the big Loki. It's like, that's a little much. Like, we get it. There's Loki variants, but we don't need to have Loki literally be a part of every single part of the show. Like, that would have been a little much.
Yeah, it's just like, it just works better. So, like, I'm very happy that they went this way. I'm just like, and obviously, by the way, side plot, we got, Mobius returning, to the TVA and seeing Renslayer. And Renslayer is shown by, I forgot her name again. I can't, because it's a letter and a number.
100B15.
Yeah, 100B15. That Renslayer, that's not even like her name. She is, she was, something else back in 28. She was a teacher or a principal.
She was like a principal, yeah.
Yeah, back in, I believe the year was 2018. So, it would have been funny if she was the Midtown Science principal, but the guy from Captain America for First Avenger, one of the Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
That actor plays the principal. That would have been a cool little thing, because Peter Parker would have been going to school at that time. But yeah, so, like, yeah, I got nothing else. Like, yeah, she's a school teacher, and Renslayer has, like, kind of an epiphany, and she goes off, and I believe Mobius or 100B15 ask her, where are you going? And she goes to what did she say? She said to find out who's behind this. something like that, something along those lines. Sorry, I'm stupid. I forgot.
Yeah, but
I forgot exactly what she said. I'm looking that up now.
I mean, yeah, I honestly, the more I look at these last two episodes, man, the more I'm just in love with the show. Like, they couldn't have finished it any better. There were some people that said they wanted a more action-packed finale, but I don't think you needed that. I mean, this is all about the multiverse and just what it entails and just regaining control, or rather getting rid of control of the multiverse. And they accomplished that. And I think that they really added to the lore, to the details there. And we literally saw the birth of the multiverse in the episode. Like, we saw the branch connecting to these other bigger branches, and those bigger branches are legitimate alternate universes, while the little branches going off of the big branches are the alternate timelines, which is so fascinating to me.
So, like, Toby and Andrew, in my opinion, are a big branch.
Yeah, no, they're a big branch. They're without a doubt a big branch. That's a totally separate universe with big differences to a T, because, like,
there's not even like an Avengers in both of those.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the differences are so major that it has to be a bigger branch, which is the point of that. Yeah. So
big fan of the big branch.
Yeah, and like the Fox universe is their own branch and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think overall the show really nailed it, and I would, like you said, it's a top 10 MCU show and project rather, and for me it was number 5. I think, actually, like, I loved it that much. Like, I think it's that good.
It's very high on my list.
Either way, it's top 10. I think you can't even argue it not being top 10 to me. Yeah. I think it has to be.
Unfortunately, Letterboxd, the where I make my lists, because season 2 was announced, I believe they're going to remove Loki soon, because they only allow movies and miniseries. And Loki is now not a miniseries because they announced season 2.
I hate that so much. I hate that so much.
Daredevil was on it briefly, but that wasn't a miniseries, so they yanked it. But Daredevil would have been number 1. But so right now I have 4, 8. I have it at 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very happy with this show. I think they really did stick the landing really well.
That's the one thing that WandaVision didn't do well, and even though I liked the Falcon ending, some people didn't like the ending of that show. So I think this is one where I don't think anyone, in my opinion, could say they didn't stick the landing. I think they perfectly did.
They stuck the landing. Good job. Good job, Kevin Feige, Kate Herron, and Michael Waldron. Michael Waldron also wrote the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness script with Sam
Michael
Raimi.
Waldron is the new star of Marvel. I think they're absolutely in love with his work. And the fact that they let him pen the script of quite possibly the movie with the biggest ramifications in Marvel for the next 3 to 4 years, that speaks volume to how much they trust him. So I'm very confident in that movie. And the fact that he's working with Sam Raimi, man, I think that movie's going to be, I really believe it. I'm calling it right now. It's going to be the best Marvel movie ever. I'm calling it right now. I really think it's going to be that good.
Mm-hmm. And, we're getting, because I just watched Doctor Strange the other day, and, it really did set up the multiverse in that movie really well. The multiverse was mentioned multiple times in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I used to be so confused early in Loki, because I was under the impression that there wasn't a multiverse yet. But obviously there was. It was just disconnected.
Yeah, really. And now, I'm really excited to see the Baron Mordo kind of plot continue. Very, very much so. They added Tom Hiddleston to the cast of Doctor Strange, because they kind of reported, I believe it was like Deadline or Hollywood Reporter that said he might be in it, but it wasn't, it's not confirmed. So, but yeah, so this show, basically, back to Loki, this show basically told a very good character study. It's a good character study, it's good drama, it's good mystery, and it also sets up like 5 years of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So like, it is like the best balancing act I've seen in quite some time.
It's what I wanted WandaVision to be. Like, WandaVision had the character study part down, but they didn't nail the larger world ramifications part that I thought they were going to have.
Loki ended up being what we thought WandaVision was.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally what I thought Wanda was going to be, but it wasn't.
So like, we just got the show wrong. We were like, we knew that one of these shows would set up, Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. It just wasn't WandaVision. It sort of sets up Doctor Strange too with Wanda's arc, but not in like the multiverse ways that we saw it. We thought like Wanda would break open the multiverse. That didn't happen. It ended up being Sylvie who, unleashed the beast, I guess you could say. I do think that Loki will be in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I agree.
It makes a lot of sense. I think like Loki knows what happened, so like I think it's very easy to say like to think that Loki's gonna find Doctor Strange and say, hey, here's what happened. Here's how the multiverse kind of went crazy. So, boom. Those are my thoughts. Yeah, I really have thoughts.
I'm with all that. I pretty much gave my thoughts. I think this is the best Disney Plus show for sure, and Marvel has done. And honestly, I think you can argue it's the best Disney Plus show period right now. I think they killed it. And
don't disrespect High School Musical, the series.
I mean, I would say don't disrespect Mando, if anything. But either way, I mean, they killed this show. I love everything about it. The performances were great. The story was phenomenal. They nailed everything. They did everything I wanted to see. There wasn't one thing in this show where I was like, damn, I wish they could have gave us this, but they never did. They gave me everything I wanted going in and more, honestly. Going in, I didn't think the show was going to have ramifications quite this big, at least at the beginning. And then, like, they introduced the TVA, and they talk about the multiverse entirely.
Yeah, Kevin Feige said that it would have, like, the biggest ramifications of the Disney Plus shows, and he was right.
No, yeah, I just didn't think it was going to go that deep, honestly, but it did. But, yeah, they did a really great job, and I'm in love with it. So that's kind of my thoughts on Loki, and I guess we can move on to our Black Widow review in this episode.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Briefly, I forgot that we were gonna do that, but yes, I like Black Widow too.
I tried making my letterbox list just to get an idea of where it was in my rankings. Although I never finished the list, so I'm not firm on it. But I'm gonna be honest, it's pretty low on my list. I like
there are like a good amount of Marvel stuff that's better than Black Widow. It's just it's good in its own right.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as some other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I like the movie. It just had some issues for me. I mean, I'll say this. For me, the movie got worse as it progressed, honestly. Like, the further we got into the movie,
agreed,
the less I was liking stuff.
Agreed.
Like the first 30 minutes, I was like, oh, this is fucking perfect. We got a great introduction to the whole family dynamic in the movie. I really loved it.
The third act is the worst act.
Yeah, David Harbour was really awesome in the beginning. I love the American Pie scene. They just keep on.
That's great. That's good stuff.
They're taking the car ride, and then they ride off, they escape, and we get that whole scene and the whole the intro credits were really awesome. I love that. And then
the whole thing about the human trafficking aspect of it is just wow. It's like, oh man,
really up until like through the bridge scene. I loved everything, man.
Yeah.
Like through that, even like the whole chase in
it had one of the best starts to a Marvel
movie. Yeah. Like what was
the
whole chase scene they had, and then their Taskmaster is chasing them through the city and everything, and then they hide in the vents. Like up until then, I was so in love, man.
Yeah.
Even the breakout scene was great. I think it was like really up until there, they had everything going good. But then once they get to the house and they leave, then it starts getting a little weaker narratively.
After they left, and then we get to the villain, and like not the Taskmaster reveal, but the person behind the Taskmaster reveal. The guy's
and even him, he was such a cliche.
Yeah, it was just exactly. It was a cliche Russian mustache twirling villain, and
I wasn't into it.
It didn't mesh with what we were doing here. This character, the main villain behind Taskmaster and behind the Black Widow program, it had to have more depth. Had to have more.
They were smart. They should have gave. I'm able to say it to get out of the way, because Taskmaster was revealed to be the daughter of the main dude in this, but
who. Natasha,
what's her name? Olga?
Olga, yeah. Natasha was allegedly killed her, but did not actually kill her, as the Russian guy had had protection, and it was kind of like faked. And it's like, it's just like a mustache twirling villain, and it was like I wasn't really into that. It needed to be. I think this movie could have been better if it was actually downsized. Like it didn't need to have
Yeah,
like
I would probably agree with that. I think they could have done a little bit less. Like you didn't need this giant.
if
Oh, they
you
have
just
this
gave me
giant
like
base in
2
the
hours,
sky.
if you gave me 2 hours of Natasha's, acceptance of her family, her forgiveness of her family for what, we saw in the beginning of the movie, what, she was sold basically. She was basically like her and Yelena were thrown into like this human trafficking ring and trained to be Black Widows. And it's like, if you just gave me 2 hours of this shit, of that shit, that's the good shit. Like that's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It honestly reminded me of like the Netflix kind of stuff, that
Hmm.
kind of tone, that grimy, grungy tone. I love that. I love
Hmm.
that stuff.
Yeah,
But the
like they
stuff,
definitely needed like they
it
clearly
falls in.
needed to go on that human trafficking thing. Like that was a good
Yeah,
plot.
it
Like it
falls
and
into generic blockbuster
it
territory in
does.
the third. And it's like we didn't need it to be. We didn't need this movie to be a $200 million, thing. It could have just
It didn't
been,
need to go there.
it didn't need to go there. It went there because it felt like it had to go there because it's a Marvel movie. But really, the thing that makes, superhero movies special is when they're unique from each other. And one of those things is one movie cannot be that big, CGI heavy explosion battle. I mean, let me give you an example. The first Spider-Man movie, there is a bunch of CGI, but the final battle is just them, duking it out and personal stakes. MJ's gonna die if Goblin beats Spider-Man because he's gonna go over to MJ and kill her. He's probably gonna finish off Aunt May if Spider-Man doesn't stop Green Goblin, right?
Yeah,
And it's just
I would agree with that. And
and
the
yeah. Oh no, you can go. You can
yeah, I was
go.
gonna say like the big issue I have too, like I told you a while ago, is that they really wanted me to care so much about Taskmaster and that big reveal, but there wasn't any
We needed
payoff because
more.
they didn't build to that at all. Like
Yeah, we needed
they
more.
gave us one scene where they showed Black Widow kind of like debating whether or not she should, kill the dude, and while the daughter is there, and she thinks
Clint
about it for a
Barton
couple seconds.
cameo, by the way.
Yeah, and then he ends up doing it, but like yeah, once that happens though, we don't really get much more of that. They don't explore the guilt very much at all. They don't go into
Yeah,
that at all.
she's got red on her ledger, and that's one of the red, I guess. But well, I mean, it's not really one of the red because Shield told her to do it. So,
Yeah, like
but
if I were the director, which I obviously am not,
I
I
am
would
not the
have took
director.
the route of prior to that scene, I would have had like even just a small scene where like maybe before she even gets to that point where she's on the mission, maybe she sees the little girl in the park or something and she talks with her without even knowing who she is. They give a little bit of depth to
Yeah,
like give a little
give
bit of something there, and then
absolutely.
yeah, and then later on when you get to that scene, it's like, oh shit, that's her. No,
And
and
with
then like
Johansson's acting ability, you could have done something really
that's what I'm
special there.
saying, and then like and better yet, like you can even like have, let's say, like the guy's distracted, she goes to the window and looks out and sees Scarlett Johansson again, and she waves at her, and then like she breaks down in tears knowing what she has to do, and then it's like fuck, like that would have been dark. That would have been painful. That would have been perfect. And then they can explore the guilt even more later in the movie. And then when that reveal happens, you really could have felt something for that. That could have been such a big moment. And I think if they did that, I wouldn't even cared very much about the dude being such a weak villain because I have such a good villain in the form of Taskmaster anyway, where you have one deep villain and you have just one cliche presence villain, and then it
Mm.
works better.
Yeah, you needed to give more depth to at least one of these characters. I mean, and especially the connection between Taskmaster and Black Widow, where Natasha feels super guilty about it, and we got a little bit of it at the end, I guess you can say, but like it needed more, and like that's where the movie, you know, stops itself from being a top tier MCU movie when it goes too cliche, too the its biggest flaw is being a Marvel movie in a way.
No, you're
It
right.
is
You're
being
absolutely right.
a studio blockbuster instead of a personal kind of thing. Uh, and that's not a knock necessarily against Marvel movies. I mean, we love Marvel movies. That's why we did this podcast. But sometimes less is more, and this is one of the times where a little less could have been more, and where if we just had more depth with these villainous characters, we could have had something really special by the end. And like in its own right, it's still a good film. It still does a good job, but like.
Yeah, the third act
when you can taste greatness, good almost feels disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I absolutely feel that. That's what I had with WandaVision with that when that show came. That's a show I really thought could have been great, and I still think it's a really good show. It just didn't get to that elite status that I thought it was definitely going to get to.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I felt
about
about
the landing.
Except I would put this movie like a little below WandaVision, where I think it was it was a good movie. It wasn't like a really good movie. I thought it was just a good movie personally, but
yeah.
It could have been so much more, and it's a bummer. I think it really could have got there quite easily if they just played their cards right. But in the end, sometimes they go in a different direction than you hope, and that was the case here.
Yeah. So that's really all I have to say on Black Widow. I like the movie a lot. I think they did a really good job overall, but
yeah, the performances were really. I loved all the casting too. Like they really nailed the casting.
Very well cast movie. Yes.
Florence Pugh is so good, man. I mean, she is such a great actress, and I absolutely loved her in Midsommar. I thought she was phenomenal in that film, and that was the first time I saw her. And when I heard that she was going to be in Black Widow, I was like, holy shit, that's sick. Like, that is awesome casting. And I think that, and I knew she had acting chops after seeing that movie, and I can't wait to see what else she does with that character. And you go even beyond that, and David Harbour as Red Guardian, absolutely great too. I can't wait to see him in future projects, which we're definitely going to get. It's been said
already. He fought Captain America,
I'm curious to see if they do anything with that, to see if maybe he did fight a Captain America, even if it's not Chris Evans. I think that'd be cool. But either way, I don't care. But because we know we're going to get more of him, and I think we're definitely going to see him fight Sam eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, he's going to end up actually fighting Captain America at one point. It's going to be Sam. It's going to be Sam, man. That's funny.
But I think the cast was really great. Performances were great. Story was okay. But it was the relationships and character building that made the movie stand on 2 feet. Because if you take that out, then you have a really weak movie. But that's what made the movie stand the way it did. But yeah, it had its issues, but good movie overall. You definitely didn't leave the theaters necessarily upset. I just left the theater kind of indifferent.
Yeah, I mean, I left the theater.
When I left, I wasn't going like. But when I usually see a Marvel movie, I'm like, "Fuck, yo, that was great. That was really fun." Because usually, even when the movie's just good, I kind of ride on the high.
My reaction was, "All right, good job."
Yeah, like that's about it, maybe. But also the thing is too, I think this movie would have been so much more appreciated if they just did it years ago, man.
Yeah.
Like this, like waiting this long, definitely.
Feige wanted to do it so long ago.
I know, because the thing is, like when I saw this movie, I was like, even if this movie was great, it would have had to be great for me to really get invested. Just because when the movie's just good, and you're really waiting to get to the multiverse stuff and all this crazy other stuff that's going on, it's kind of just like, this ain't the time for this. Like, I already know what the future holds for this character. Like, I would have loved this years ago. I would have loved this as a Disney Plus series right now, but like as a movie in the year 2021 with the movies that surround it, it just wasn't the right time. It wasn't. Right. But I don't blame anyone for that. I don't. It's just it wasn't the right time.
Yeah, I wish that the movie came out back in like 2011 or something, like right before or right after Avengers.
Right after Civil War.
Yeah, that could have worked as well. If this movie just came out,
that would have been fun.
This movie fits in perfectly right after Civil War, but
I know if they did that, I think that would have been great. I think fans would have loved it. I really do think they would have been really into it.
Yeah. So I don't know. It is what it is. Obviously, there have been some issues about with Perlmutter and all that stuff that made the Black Widow movie very tough to get off the ground, and it was in Johansson's contract, so this was actually contractually obligated to be made, which is funny. But yes, he is. This. Yes, this movie. It happened. I'm glad it happened. It's a solid addition to the MCU. Just the MCU in general. But yeah, it's pretty. The best thing that I can say about the movie is the fact that we've got awesome characters set up now because they were introduced in this, like Yelena and David Harbour's character, Red Guardian, and Rachel Weisz's character. So even though Scarlett Johansson's character obviously, was thrown off a cliff by her own self, yeah, you know what I'm saying. I paused for comedic effect, but yes, she pitched herself off a cliff. The best part of this entire thing is the fact that we got a new star in Florence Pugh, who's going to be obviously in Hawkeye, and she's going to be an absolute star. And if they make a Black Widow sequel, she's probably going to be the star, I would assume, of that. And Red Guardian, Rachel Weisz's character, I forgot her name, but she's a very good actress and she has some good scenes.
Ooh, I have some news for the next episode actually.
Oh, okay. What is
it? It's an update rather. It's a good update.
Pertaining to what?
I mean, I can't tell you now.
Well, can I get a hint? Can I guess?
No.
Well, that's all, folks.
Even so, I think we gave our thoughts. Do you have anything else to say anyway, or are you good?
I'm good. Loki.
Yeah, I think I'm
great.
good too.
Black
We're gonna
Widow,
do our
good.
We're gonna do our news episode in a second. But until then, see you next time on Cape Time. See you, everybody.
Peace.